Community Dave, the pickup artist, with you for another round of Psychedelic Sunday, where the cost of got some new pickups this week, so let's jump right in. The first one I've got is an album that was never originally released. It was recorded in 1970. We've got Bulbous Creation with You Won't Remember Dying. So this band is from Kansas. And head of Rockadelic put it on his label and printed some copies of it. There's at least two other versions of the cover. The red one is probably the most popular. I like that one a little bit better. The one with the red cover and the skeleton, I think it's more indicative of what the album's about. But I was glad to pick up a copy of this.
People are
Up your ass. By the Numero group. I'm not really sure about them, but yeah, this is a great album. This is great, hard, psychedelic rock. We've got the new reissues have different vinyl variations. This is a black, but they also have red and other different variations. And this band was featured in the Acid Archives. And let's see what they've got. The Acid Archives features the other cover, which I definitely like better. I think it's got a picture of the band on it, and the skeleton with the hypodermic needle is very cool. I like that. But according to this, the reviewer, Bulbous Creation, previously unreleased 1970 recordings of great jammy downer hard rock psych, with an intense atmosphere, far out vocals, and only one weak cut. Much like the early Black Sabbath, this is fucked up teenage blues without any traditional blues structures. Lyrics deal with smack, nam, Satanism, and such. A merciless snapshot of the post-flower power era. In my opinion, among the very best of all the vintage stuff from the Caravan Sound Studios in Missouri that has appeared and had been released over the years. As intense and powerful as any four-figure stoner rock LP, but with an original vibe. The sleeve has the usual rockadelic obsession with heroin and death, which is well matched with the sounds inside. The band cannot be located, hence the lack of info. So, now, I think they did get a little bit more info on this band when they released the the latest crop of reissues because we know a few things. But yeah, it's just one of those overlooked albums that was never released and never got the proper love it deserves. Great album. Bulbous Creation.
Let's examine the facts and only the facts.
Next album I've got is quite an oddity. We've got Interviews by Sonny. First up, we got a retail sticker. I always I pay tribute to the retail sticker whenever I see it. Now this one's from Dayton's Record Store. And I did some research. My crack team of archaeologists found out that this was in fact a record store in Minneapolis. And I did not find any physical pictures of the record store, but I did find an interesting object on eBay, which was a poster of a chart that was a top 40 chart that was sponsored by Dayton's Record Shop from 1967. And that is available on eBay, but I did not find any other information. Apparently there was only one, and it was in Minnesota. So this was purchased at Dayton's in Minnesota for the price of $3.87. This is Sonny Bono.
Black is day and white is night. Now the air it's real uptight.
What was going on with Sonny and Cher? They hit the scene in '65, and they became fixtures on the LA scene. And what they were doing in '67 was they were doing separate projects. Cher had put out 3 solo albums that were all successful. So Sonny put this album out in 1967. This is his psychedelic album.
And you will be the establishment.
Family's on a bummer now, and nobody knows where she's at.
While the movie will actually go to the moon and perhaps other planets.
I said
It is the only album he put out. He did put out a single about a couple years earlier that appears on the CD of this, the Rhino remaster. But this is fairly deep psych. It opens with a 12-minute track called "I Just Sit There." I can relate to that. And it's about trippers, strippers, and hips and squares. Typical Sonny Bono lyrics. We go to side 2, and we get a track, kind of the one bummer track on here, the one wanker, "I Would Marry You Today." That's probably the one terrible track on here. Then we get "My Best Friend's Girl Is Out of Sight," which sounds like it could have been a Sonny and Cher song. And it closes with this track called "Pammy's on a Bummer."
bummer now, and nobody knows where she's at. She got hung up on an untouchable cat.
And here's a sample of the lyrics. We get, she started smoking pot just to keep herself from flipping. But it wasn't strong enough, so she graduated to tripping. Yeah, that's what we get from Sonny. And we don't get a list of the artists that played on here, but we get some Mid-Eastern type jamming on the first track and the last track. That's pretty good. Reminds me a little bit of the Beat of the Earth album, but I don't think this is quite as good as that. But this is worth checking out. Echo. And this is a really good copy. Also came with the original inner sleeve from Atco. 1967, Sonny. And you know, it was kind of the beginning of the end for Sonny and Cher. They broke up, and they had, at this point also, they had 3 movies they had just released. Starting from 65, then of course the TV show, and you know the story. Yeah, so Sonny and Cher, they were fixtures on the LA pop rock scene, and they're actually in the Nuggets, Los Angeles Nuggets, where the action is. A collection of basically LA-based bands featuring some of the usual suspects like Iron Butterfly, West Coast pop art experimental band. It's got a one of the first Sonny and Cher songs from their first album. It's Gonna Rain is the name of the song. But they don't know who played the guitar, bass, and drums on the song, but I always thought that it was the Wrecking Crew that played on all their songs. I thought, but yeah, this is good stuff. We got tracks from Jan and Dean, some garage rock from Jan and Dean, Lee Hazelwood, The Rose Garden, who I showed a couple of weeks ago. And it's got one of my favorite Monkees tracks called Daily Nightly. Michael Nesmith had a poem, and they turned it into a song. And apparently it's the first pop song where the Moog, the electric Moog, is played by Mickey. Mickey Dolenz plays it. I did not know that. The song was taken off their Pisces Aquarius album. Possibly their best album. And it's great that Nesmith finally got a track on an album. As you know, most of the Monkey songs were written outside of the band. The very first song on here, side 1, is a track called Salesman.
And where you going, don't sell all of your goods today. Salesman gonna walk along the street, see friends along the way. But salesman with your wooden cart that you push along while you walk. Hey, salesman got a little.
And Salesman was a song written by a guy by the name of Craig Smith, who was a singer and songwriter. Wrote a Christmas song for Andy Williams, and he ended up going a little crazy. He took a trip to Hippie Trail, which basically is a trail to India that a lot of people were taking, especially since the Beatles made their trip. And he ended up in Kandahar, Afghanistan, and he was taking huge amounts of LSD. he got into some sort of scuffle at a market and pulled a knife on everybody in the market while he was, I guess, tripping or whatever. Crowd got a hold of him and they nearly beat him to death. They put him in a Afghan insane asylum for a while. He somehow got out of that, and when he was in this insane asylum, he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. On a personal note, my neighbor was recently diagnosed with schizophrenia, but he's good people. He came back. He actually made it home in like 1968 or 69. He ended up getting just going into more and more bizarre stuff. He got involved with the Manson family. He released 2 albums under an Indian name that are collector's items in the early 70s, and I believe they're also in the Acid archives. And he ended up doing time. He got a weird Manson-like tattoo on his forehead. He ended up doing time when he nearly beat his mother to death. He got out of prison and basically spent the rest of his life homeless.
Gem-laden palaces, treasures that abound, sitar and koto play, soothing tranquil sound. It is so clear when your karma loses fear.
Ugly Things magazine, I think his name is Mike Stacks, had been following him, and he wrote a book about it that's pretty interesting. It's out of print, but yeah, he died, I think in the 80s, somewhere in the 80s or something, and nobody even picked up his ashes. But actually, I think the guy from Ugly Things magazine eventually did. He collected his ashes, but one of the saddest stories that nobody's heard of. But yeah. Now another band that opens and closes the Nuggets LA box set is Love. And the first song on the album is I'll Be Following, which ended up on their first album.
I went to Jack.
1966. Now, I just saw an interview on, there's a channel called Psychedelic Scene magazine, or Psychedelic Scene or something like that, where the guy interviews one of these guys.
Psychedelic substances around that time?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we took acid. We probably by that time had taken at least a couple hundred doses of LSD. So that was a routine for us. But and so smoking weed was routine. That was everybody did then. And
Johnny Eccles, I believe. That's this guy right here. He's one of the surviving members of Love, and he gave a pretty interesting interview. He's probably like close to 80 right now, and he talks about the band's early days and how they were involved with Billy Preston and Zappa and people like that. Yeah, he tells the story of drugs too. They also did a lot of acid, and he and at least one other member of this band got into heroin, and luckily, he says that he found a way out of it. He got some help, and well, he's well enough to give a recent interview. So yeah, the other Love song they do on that Nugget set is taken from the Forever Changes album, which I have on CD, holding out to get it on vinyl because I think in another year or so they're going to start re-releasing 50th anniversary versions of their first 3 albums. I predict. But yeah. So I'm hoping to get I don't know, hopefully that'll come into
FBI, open up!
But yeah, great to LA bands. Some interesting pickups this week. And that's all I got this week, folks. Take care, and we'll see you next week.
Of an unpredictable and unpleasant bummer.